Over the past few weeks, we started dosing Dr. Tim's Refresh and Waste Away. Today, we're going to walk you through the process of these bacteria additives and their results. Cyanoalgae is a headache that pretty much every reefer has faced at some point. Even just a little bit of tank neglect can lead to your sandbed, rocks, equipment, and your corals being coated in red slime. If left unchecked, it can even start to choke your corals out of light and nutrients. We've previously taken a look at other ways to deal with cyanoalgae, but hey, knowledge is power, and sometimes a combination of different tactics is exactly what your tank might need. Refresh and Waste Away are the perfect 1-2 combo for ridding your tank of cyanobacteria. They were developed by Dr. Tim through extensive research. Dr. Tim has used his expertise in biology and his PhD in ecology, evolution, and marine biology to conduct extensive research on nitrifying bacteria. This research has led him to be granted a number of patents. The culmination of this research has resulted in his lines of bacterial additives, including Refresh and Waste Away. Refresh is going to be your first method of attack when dealing with cyano problems. By dosing Refresh, you'll be adding beneficial bacteria to your tank that will start breaking down algae and sludge, removing them from the surface of your scape. Once your rock and substrate are looking clean, it's time to start dosing Waste Away. Waste Away is filled with a different set of bacteria that are designed to outcompete any new algae and slime before it becomes established. It does this by feeding on the same nutrients that nuisance algae and cyano feed on. Once the bacteria becomes full and bloated, they are stripped from your water by your mechanical filter and your protein skimmer. It is very important to remember that you will need to have a protein skimmer when dosing Waste Away. We wanted to put these products to the test, so we decided to try them out on one of our office tanks that was having some trouble with cyano. Our team member Christian took charge of dosing and documenting the entire process. Christian made sure to turn off the protein skimmer before dosing Refresh to make sure it stayed in the system. The next step was to siphon out all of the loose cyano that he could find, making it easier for the bacteria to get to the tougher stuff. According to the chart below, you will need to dose 5 milliliters for every 10 gallons of water in your system. We are working on a Red Sea XL 525, which has a total system volume of 139 gallons. But we ran it down to 130 gallons to make it a bit easier. This meant we needed to be dosing 65 milliliters of Refresh. We didn't dose any additional bacteria on day 2, but we did allow the skimmer to run for around 9 hours. Not only did it start pulling out nutrients, it went a bit overboard on the skimming. After emptying the cup of the sludge, we shut the skimmer back down for the night. For day 3, we once again dosed the tank and left the skimmer off. But at this point, we were already starting to see results. As many reefers do, we have the tendency to overfeed our tanks just a bit. So it's not uncommon for us to find a bit of cyano growing on our sandbed the morning after a heavy feeding. Despite having our protein skimmer off, we were already starting to see a distinct lack of red slime anywhere in the tank. Day 4, we cycled the protein skimmer back on for 8 hours. We elected not to do the optional water change at this point, as we weren't seeing that our tank was reacting adversely to anything. On day 5, we once again dosed and left our skimmer off. At this point, we were very impressed with this dosing regimen, as not only had our substrate been cleared, our water column seemed to clear up as well. Day 6 was another non-dosing day and thankfully the start of our weekend. Day 7 is when we were supposed to start dosing Waste Away, but it also fell on a weekend, so we pushed it back to day 8. We added a day to our schedule to help us stay on track. Once again, using the provided information, we calculated that we needed about 130 milliliters of Waste Away per dose. After you dose, leave the skimmer off for between 2 to 4 hours before turning it back on. We had a little mental slip up and left it off for overnight. Whoops. Thankfully, everything ended up just okay. When we turned the skimmer back on during the day, it once again went into overdrive and started skimming like crazy. On day 10, we matched our dose from day 8 and once again turned off our protein skimmer, but this time it was for the correct period of time. On day 11 and day 12, we repeated the same Waste Away dosing interval as before. Day 13 was the last scheduled day of our treatment, and we performed a partial water change as recommended. All in all, we were very happy with how this dosing regimen performed. Even with the gaps in our dosing and overrunning our skimmer, we had very noticeable results and our tank looked the cleanest it has in a while. We would recommend these products for anyone looking to give a slightly neglected tank a much needed cleaning. Even if you're just noticing bits of sludge here and there, Waste Away can be dosed weekly to give you a spotless look. We do hope you found this video helpful, but if you have any additional questions about Dr. Tim's bacteria additives, let us know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. We'd also like to hear about your experience about getting rid of cyano, so please comment below. As always, thank you for tuning in and enjoy your reef keeping journey.